Hi and welcome. In June 2020, Adobe released the 2020 version of Lightroom Classic, and it contains some new and some pretty exciting features. This is just a brief run through of what's in store for you. Okay, first off the bat, we've got a small but significant improvement to survey view. And this is when you're looking at more than two images in Lightroom. So let's select all these images, and then we can press N for survey view, which we've already gone into. But there we press N, or we can click that little doohickey here, the survey view icon. Right, now what used to happen is that all the little icons here for the star ratings and the flags and the picks, they all used to stay the same colour. So if you wanted to select a different background, like a dark grey background, they would disappear because they'd be the same colour. But now they actually change colour depending on what background you've got. So if you decide you want a light grey background, the star ratings and everything will be darker. And if you want a medium grey, they'll still be darker and you'll at least be able to see them. Okay, next we've got something that I think's been a long time coming, but finally it's here. I mean, how many times have you actually wanted to find the dead centre of your image? Well, for quite a lot of reasons, you might want to. But there's never been an overlay for it, which has always puzzled me. But now there is. So if you go into the crop tool in the develop module, here is one of the crop overlays. And you can go to the tools menu and down to crop overlay guide. And here you can see all the crop overlays. Well, now there's another one, a new one, and it's called Center. And if you click on it, it tells you exactly where the center of the image is. And it's also on the O key. It's got a keyboard shortcut, and the O key just scrolls it through all the ones, and then you end up getting back to where you started, or back to your center, which is the one you might want. Okay, onwards and upwards. Next, we've got another cosmetic one, and this is the tone curve and the color panels. So if you open up the tone curve, you'll see all the channels and everything. They just look more sexy. They've put them at the top and they've made them all different colors. So no change in functionality, it just looks a lot better and more modern. Next up, we have some new default presets. So in the develop module, if I go in the presets panel, you'll see there's now a panel called defaults. And if I look at these, I mean, most of them are grayed out, and when these are grayed out, it means that this is not a raw file. So let's click on another one. There we go, that's a raw file. So we can see now that these are just quick ways of getting to different views of the profile, plus some additional bits. So basically, if we click on the first one, we get the Adobe color, which is the default one. We've got camera settings, which changes that to camera neutral. We've then got the newer version of Adobe Default, which is the Adobe Color, plus lens correction. So it actually just switches lens correction on. And then we've got Adobe Color plus lens correction plus a bit of noise reduction. And it just goes through. So here we've got Adobe Vivid plus lens corrections plus noise reduction. Not sure exactly how much use it's going to be, but there it is if you want to try it out. Well, this next one is a biggie for me as well, and this is being able to adjust hue locally on your local adjustment tools. In particular, we've got the brush tool, the radial filter tool, and the graduated filter tool. So let's have a look at the brush tool. If we click on the brush tool, you'll see down here now that we've got now a hue slider. And what I can do is now I can change the colour of different parts of an image. So let me just make that a bit smaller, and I'll just do a quick whiz around this door here. And then what I can do now is go into the hue slider and I can change the colour. And I love that, absolutely love that. Now there is this fine adjustment. I don't think I'll be using this too much. I don't think I'm going to live long enough. But what you can do is if you click on fine adjustment, it just makes the slider go oh so slowly. So if I click on it and drag, It is moving, but it's just very slowly, and as I get over here you'll see I've got to keep clicking and dragging it back, but it would let you home in on a very, very specific hue if that's what you wanted. I don't think I'll be using that much, so I'm just going to turn that one off. And we can see now that we've clicked that slider, we can quickly change the colour of discrete parts of your image. Now this also works on the radial filter. So if I click and drag out an area in the image and then I change the hue slider, you'll see that it changes everything on the outside. If I click the invert button, it will change the colour of everything on the inside. Okay, and it also works with the graduated filter, so this is good for skies and things like that. So if I click and drag that down, I can now again alter the hue in a graduated manner, going down from the top, from the bottom, for wherever you want to go. You can change the hue, and that to me is amazing. I absolutely love that tool. Ooh, I'll just drag that down a bit. There we go. I absolutely love that tool. Now this update is a biggie for me. Shooting different types of photography invariably involves different ISO values. Now for example, in my landscape images I want a low ISO to give me a good quality because nothing's moving. When I do bird photography I need a higher ISO to ensure that I capture a sharp image, but this invariably leads to noisy images. So I can't use one preset really for both images. Well, now you can. With an ISO adaptive preset, Lightroom checks the ISO and it selects the amount of noise reduction that you say is needed on that specific image. It works on a sliding scale, so you set the parameters. Now let's look at an example. If we look at this image here, I've got an ISO of 100. And what I might look at if I go into the detail panel and say, well, I don't really need any noise reduction at all on this image. And that's fine, so I've now set that. You click on another image, and I see that this one's got an ISO of 400. Now, in my opinion, I need around, let's say, 10 points. I need 10 points of noise reduction on an ISO 400 images. So now I'm going to create my preset. So I'm going to select both of these images. I'm going to hold the control key down and click on that so that both images are selected. And then I'm going to go up to my presets little plus and I'm going to create a preset. Now down at the bottom you can see there's a new section now called ISO settings, and it's called create ISO adaptive preset. And if I just put a tick in there, what will happen is now that it will create a preset that will work between ISO 100 and ISO 400. So what I'll do is I'll give it a name. So I'll call this ISO 100 to 400. There we go. And I'll also create a separate little group. So I'll create a group and I'll call this adaptive. There we go. And I'll click create. And then I can click create again. And if we now look, we'll see that we've got a new group and I've got an ISO adaptive preset in it that's working between 100 and 400. So basically at ISO 100, it won't apply any sharpening to an image. And at ISO 400, it will apply 10 points of sharpening to an image. And that's fine. But now what about this one? If I click on this one, you'll see that I've got ISO 200. So what am I going to do with that? Well, if I now apply the preset to it, so I'll now go and click on ISO 100 to 400, and it will set my luminance to 5, bang in the middle. It proratas between whatever you set as your noise reduction in your lowest ISO and the noise reduction you set in your highest ISO image. Is that not cool? Now if you wanted, you could set the adaptive preset as the default preset. Then all your noise reduction problems on different ISO images are a thing of the past. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, first, let's go to the Edit menu and Preferences. And then we'll click on the tab for Presets. Now what we need to do, we've got the Adobe default in here. What we need to do is to go and find that preset we've just made. So we've made an adaptive preset and it's 100 to 400 ISO. I need to make sure there's a tick in override master settings for specific cameras. If there isn't, all this will be greyed out, because what I need to do now is set this for my camera. And your camera will appear in this list. Here's mine, my Olympus EM1X. And then I need to set the default for that camera. So I'm going to again go to preset and down to adaptive presets and down to ISO 100 to 400. And then my default one, again, I need to set to that preset. So I'm going to go down, preset 100 to 400. And then I click on update default. And what will happen now is on import, each image will be looked at by Lightroom and it will check the ISO and it will set the appropriate noise reduction between 100 and 400 ISO. Now that is pretty awesome. And then we click OK and we're good to go. Well, that's it for what's new in Lightroom 2020, the June 2020 version of it. I do hope you enjoyed it and I do hope you found it some use. If you did, please leave me a comment under the video, and if you can, give me a thumbs up. It does help me to reach more users of Lightroom and Photoshop. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.